Welcome to episode 4 of The Backbone. Today we sit with Ashlynn Anderson and learn more about her trip to Mount Washington, New Hampshire. This trip was part of a course called Introduction to Alpine Climbing as part of the Outdoor Leadership and Adventure Education curriculum at Garrett College. Ashlynn shared a lot with us, and I hope you enjoy.
We're here with Ashlynn.
Hi.
And she's been gracious enough to kind of be a guinea pig on our first video podcast. So welcome, Ashlynn.
Hello.
Do you want to introduce yourself? Let's tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Ashlynn Anderson. I'm 18 years old. I go to Garrett College. It's my freshman year. I graduated from Northern High School last year, 2025. I was born and raised in Garrett County. I'm an avid skier, mountain biker, and just really love the outdoors. Yeah.
That's awesome. She has that intro down pat. She's great. So Ashlynn and I are sitting here at Trader's Coffee House this morning. She just came back from, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but an experience of a lifetime with Garrett College. So tell us more about where you just came from.
So Garrett College took a trip to New Hampshire. It was through their OLA program, which I am actually not a part of. So there's a whole degree where it's like outdoor leadership. And there's
is that, sorry to interrupt you, is
Yeah.
that what OLA stands for?
Yeah.
Outdoor leadership something. Okay, we'll look that up. We'll put it in the notes.
So there's a whole degree that people get to do, and it kind of sets them up to be guides in the outdoors or just anything kind of outdoors related. And there's different paths you could take. There's a whitewater rafting path, there's a mountain biking path, there is a climbing path, but then there's also this alpine climbing path. And so you don't have to be in the program to go on these trips. I'm an elementary education major, but I was really interested in like kind of combining the outdoors and education. So I'm not positive of what I want to do yet, but I reached out to Andy Hershey, who is like the coordinator for the OLA program, and we talked about different things I could do with the program because my dad actually was in the program when he went to Garrett College. So I knew about it and I was like really excited. I want to do something with them. And he told me about this trip to New Hampshire, and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. And I knew I didn't have to be in the program to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed up for it and didn't really even know what it was yet. I was like, alpine climbing, I don't even know. But it sounded cool.
Yeah, I like the outdoors. So
yeah, I was like, oh well, New Hampshire, like sounds good to me. But so we started preparing for it, and I found out that part of it was summiting Mount Washington, and then the other part was alpine climbing. And ice climbing. So
it just sounds so cool.
it was really cool. It was scary, but it was really cool. So we get prepared. I think it was 10 days that we were in New Hampshire. So we drive down there in a day, and then we stay at North Conway Hostel. And we were there for eight of the 10 days. 2 of the days we stayed in a shelter when we were on Mount Washington. So the first 3 days we just learned how to ice climb. It was Andy Hershey and then another guy named Chad, who he went through the OLA program, graduated through it, and now works out in Washington as a alpine guide out there. And he ice climbs and just kind of does all that kind of stuff.
So I don't mean to interrupt you. Can you tell us what alpine climbing is? Is this hiking in snow, or
it's kind of like a combination of climbing, but it's not as technical. Okay. So it's like
rock climbing,
rock climbing, ice climbing, but it's like bigger areas. Like it's more like summiting mountains than like just like rock climbing.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry, I forgot to.
No, you're good. You're good.
So.
No, that's okay. You were stayed in some hostels on the way.
Yeah, so we drove up in a day, and then we stayed at North Conway Hostel, somewhere in like the White Mountain National Forest. And there's ice climbing is really big in New Hampshire. It's just because it's always cold for like 6 months out of the year. There,
similar to Garrett County.
Yeah, similar to Garrett County, but like more extreme,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. So we get there and there's all these. I've never really been interested in ice climbing until this trip, just because
Mhm.
like it's such a far thing. We don't really have it here in
Yeah.
Garrett County, and I didn't really know it was like an actual thing. That
Yeah.
people, I mean, I knew people did it, but I thought it was like a very niche thing.
Mm.
But we get up there, like everybody's an ice climber,
Okay.
so I was like, oh, okay.
You're at the coffee shop. Everybody's got their
Their
equipment in
gear,
the car.
yeah. So we get there and we learn how to strap everything to our backpacks, and there's 2 technical tools and then like an ice axe that you walk in. And so we learn how to walk in our crampons, how to like put on our gaiters, literally just starting from scratch, because
Yeah.
none of us have ever done anything like this. So we just
So what are crampons and what are gaiters and
Okay.
what is the ice? What'd you just call
the
it?
ice axe.
Ice
So
axe.
crampons are like these. There's I think 10 spikes, and you put them on your feet, and they help you. There's 2 in the front that help you when you're climbing the ice, and then the rest are on the bottom that also help you climb the ice, but also just help you not slip and fall when you're walking in snow or ice or kind of wintry conditions.
So the ones in the front, you're kind of
Jabbing.
jabbing.
the
Okay.
ice,
Technical
yes.
term. Jabbing into
I
the
don't-
ice.
I don't really-
No.
It's definitely a technical term, but I don't remember.
But to get the motion when you're climbing, you're kind of like kicking your
Kicking-
toe
yeah.
into the ice
Yep.
to make it stick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
We don't worry about technical terms here. It's all good.
Hopefully micropressors so they're not watching. But so there we learned how to put on those, because there's a special mountaineering boot that we actually got that we were able to rent from, I forget what place it was, but we rented them and
Mhm.
tried them on before we even like took the trip.
Okay.
So the crampons can attach to those easily, and then gaiters are like they protect your clothing from getting all scratched up, because there's 10 spikes on your feet and you're walking and you're walking straight uphill sometimes. So you're not like tearing anything, and also just to protect your skin a little more in case
Okay.
like anything punctures. And then there's an ice axe, which is
This sounds cool, by the way. I don't know that I've ever seen an ice axe. We're gonna have to get a picture.
Yeah, we're gonna have to show. It's like it's basically like an axe, and on the front there's like spikes. So and then on the bottom it's like there's like a shaft, and on the bottom of the shaft there's a spike on that, so it helps you like stabilize when you're like not climbing the ice, but like walking up like a steeper icy hill.
Okay.
When you're alpine climbing or
So are you jabbing
you can.
into the ice?
So for the ice axe, it's a lot more like used for walking.
Okay.
But you can also, like when we subbed in Mount Washington, there was parts where we had to jab the ice axe into the ice to climb up.
Okay.
But then there's 2 technical tools that you use normally for ice climbing, and they're a lot lighter and smaller. And those are what you normally see if you like would look at a picture of people ice climbing, that you're like putting them into the ice and like climbing with them.
Oh, okay. So the axe is not that thing that I've seen in the photos.
Yeah.
So when you're climbing a sheer face of ice,
Yeah.
it's a different tool.
Yeah.
That's lighter.
Yeah, that's lighter. And
You think about like carrying it and using it to support your body.
Yeah.
Weight.
And they're meant to be easier to like get into the ice and also get out.
Are they at a certain angle?
Yeah, they're at like a certain angle, and they're like easier to like hold on to, I guess.
Cool.
You would say. But yeah, those are what you would normally see. And then the ice axe is just like this kind of the same thing, but bigger and heavy.
Yeah, how big is the ice
like,
axe?
I'd say it's about like that long.
Pretty big.
So, and then the technical tools about that long.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a little variation in that, but so we just literally learned like all the terms and everything, how to walk with the crampons, because it's really hard when you have spikes on your feet, walking straight uphill, and then also just like how to conserve energy when you're walking in the snow, because we were basically all this was like training to summit Mount Washington. So we were learning how to walk, how to stay balanced when we're walking, because like you don't think about this, but you know, when you're climbing a mountain, you want to conserve as much energy as possible. So we were like,
because you have to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you have to come back.
Yeah.
So if you run out of energy 100 feet away from the summit, that's not good.
No, it's not. And just kind of, it's so different than like, I never would have even thought of this kind of stuff, but I was like, oh wait, that makes sense. And like how to you know, when you're going on a switchback and you're carrying the ice axe, but it's almost straight up, you have to learn how to like stay balanced, but then switch the ice axe in the other hand, because the ice axe always seems to be in the uphill hand. Like there's there's all these like little things that you would never think of. But so the first part of the day, we just kind of talked about that. And then the second part, we actually got to ice climb and we learned how to belay. We did top roping, which is so the instructors were able to go up on the top of like the ice face we were climbing and like, secure our ropes to a tree and stuff. So then we
to a tree. That was the question I had, is like, how do you know what's safe to connect to?
So we weren't really taught that. There is another course in the summer that we'll probably learn more about that kind of stuff. But this is both our instructors have like ice climbed for a really long time, so we just kind of trusted them on that.
That's fair. That's fair. Have you ever done rock climbing before?
Not like a lot. I've not really with like.
Do you say like with belay?
No.
Like
so,
what's the how do we talk about it?
I don't really know. So this is like really my first intro to climbing in general. I've been to like rock climbing gyms. I've always been interested in it, but I've just never been like in that circle. And so it was really cool because this was also my intro to like normal climbing as well. So learning how to belay, learning how to tie like a figure 8 knot, which is what you tie yourself into when you're, you know, climbing. So learning all the knots and the belaying terms, and also the terms when you're climbing, because you're like saying on belay, you're checking when because basically belaying is there's like I forget what it is, but you put the rope through a device. I don't know what the device is called. I think it might just be a belay device, honestly. But so you're pulling the rope as somebody else is climbing. So if they do fall, you could just tighten it and they won't like plummet to the ground. They'll just kind of stay there and be able to continue climbing on the route. So we learned how to do that and the terms to talk to each other when you're belaying the person and you're climbing and vice versa. So that was kind of the first day. We got to climb 2 ice faces.
How tall were these ice faces? I mean, ice faces sounds intimidating.
I don't know, probably like 50 feet. They weren't very tall. It was just like, it was more of an intro. And just kind of like learning how to.
Did you do this at Swallow Falls? Is this?
No, this is in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire, okay.
Yes. It was, like I said, it was somewhere in the White Mountain National Forest, but I don't exactly remember where. So we kind of just learned how to intro the first day. And then the second day we went to, I think it was Cathedral something. And we did some more ice climbing there. It was the same thing. We were top roping. So one of us was belaying, the other one was climbing. And we had like 4 different routes going. And then we also learned how to rappel using a rappel device. And just learn how to use ice screws to like, because like when you're normally rock climbing, there's a lot of the times already things placed. So when you're doing a multi-pitch climb or lead climbing, you can just clip the rope into the carabiners. So, but in ice, because ice melts and freezes all the time, you have to use these ice screws and kind of make your own like route. So we didn't do that, but we learned like how to use them. So that was cool. And then the last day we went to a place called Willie's Slide and we did a multi-pitch climb, meaning that there was multiple pitches that our instructors like belayed us up. So, and that was really cool. It was terrifying because it was a bit less of a pitch, but it was a lot longer of a climb. And the exposure, you would look down, you're like, oh my God, if I fall right now, I'm dead. Like,
we're definitely putting pictures into this.
I took a lot, so also but it was really cool. And then we get to the top and our instructor's like, okay, now let's step on this like there's this flat landing, and none of us could find the flat landing. It was not flat. It was just like slightly less steep. And then we rappelled down. So what we practiced the day before, we used that in natural practice and rappelled down. So it was really cool. That was probably one of the coolest days, just because it was super hard to like climb up, and then you get there and there's this beautiful view. You're terrified, but you're like, oh my God, I just did this. So that was really cool. And then so we did 3 days of ice climbing, and then the next 2 days we did an airy course, which is Avalanche Research. and we learned how to rescue people from an avalanche, how to read the avalanche forecast, and also how to use different methods to test if there would like how likely an avalanche would be and what kind of avalanches. Because I didn't realize this, but there's like 9 different types of avalanche.
Really?
There's like a wind slab avalanche, or like I guess it would be, they call them like problems that would cause an avalanche. So there's,
Okay.
like, wind slabs, storm slabs, all these different kind of terms which I've never heard of because I've never really been in avalanche territory. And so we went to the base of Tuckerman's Ravine, which if you're a skier, you probably heard of it because it's like the only backcountry skiing on the East Coast.
Okay.
And really the only places where avalanches would occur. I mean, we did have one on Face the other day, so I guess it can happen anywhere, but like really big avalanche territory. So, and we hiked the trail that you would go up into Tuckerman's Ravine. We didn't go all the way up into Tuckerman's, but we were able to do snowpack tests and just learn how to rescue. We learned how to use our probes and beacons and shovels and just how to rescue people, and then also just test for them. So that was really cool and really interesting. It was 2 days. I think we hiked probably like 10 miles total in the 2 days, just because we had to go high enough to like get a lot of snowpack to do the tests. But that was really interesting.
It sounds really interesting.
It was really cool.
So what's like the main thing you need to know about avalanche if you're ever skiing out west or in this pass? Tuckerman's Ravine, I think.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is just like how to read the avalanche forecast. Every
Didn't
area.
realize there's an avalanche forecast.
I had no idea until I thought I used to think, there's big mountains, there's a possibility for an avalanche, you just gotta watch out.
Right.
I think that's what, if you've never been into that kind of territory, that's what we all think. But there's actually there's 5 different levels of how high the avalanche probability would be. So it's from low to historic, basically. Low being, there's always a possibility for it, but it's probably the probability is lower. And then historic being, this is crazy big avalanche, like do not go out today. And then there's like moderate, consider it, and then high is the in between. And then with that, you have it's like a compass rose basically of the mountain. And there's 3 different sections. So it's different for whatever area you're in because the elevation's different. But for where we were in Tuckerman's, it was, I think, 3,000 feet and lower, 3,000 to 5,000 was like the medium section, and then 5,000 and up was the higher section. And so with that, and then also there's like the north, east, southwest. And so it's broken into those sections of elevation and then like where on the compass, and it'll show, where the avalanche, what elevation, and then what, like north, east, south, or what direction of the mountain the avalanche would be on.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because, like I said, I just thought it was, it's everywhere, but it's only in like certain areas. And normally it has to do with like the wind and, where it snowed. It could have only snowed in the higher elevations. And
does it depend on the temperature as well?
Yes. It also,
so if we get 2 feet of snow and it's hovering around freezing, that might not be as dangerous as 2 feet of snow and it's 60 degrees the next day.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm science.
Yeah. And it's the biggest thing with avalanches that we learned is like it's really heavy over light snow, or like, so if it's heavier snow over light, that's I guess strong over weak is like a better term. So if there's this really strong snow and then there's a really weak pack under, that's really easy for it to just slide and create an avalanche. So it was really interesting because again, like you never think of that unless you're in that kind of area. So, and that was really cool. So we all got like our Area 1 certifications, which is I guess really helpful if you're getting into the guiding business or anything outdoor related that you would be in avalanche territory for, which the biggest things would be backcountry skiing and then ice climbing. So both things. I mean, we didn't backcountry ski, but we were in that area for backcountry.
Were you kind of drooling, wanting to backcountry ski?
Yes, the whole time. Well, so we were on foot, but half of the class, so it was like the Garrett College kids, but then they're also just people who were there to just take the class, and they were all on skis, and we all had to hike. And most of us are from this area. We grew up skiing, and we were all like, oh my God, we just want to ski so bad. Like this, we were going crazy. Because you see all these skiers and they're doing backcountries, they're skinning up, and we're just walking, and we're like, oh my God. I was the whole time, there is powder the one day, and I'm just gonna go ski. I haven't skied in so long. So I definitely want to go back and ski there for sure. Like that's definitely on the bucket list.
Cool.
It was cool to just learn, even though we couldn't ski.
Yeah. I'm sure being in this like great ski destination was just like painful.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, the cool experience made up for it. So after the 2 days of the area course, that was a Saturday and a Sunday, we finally had a rest day, and we were all exhausted. Like whole body is sore. We've been hiking and climbing all weekend. It takes a toll on the body. So we finally got a rest day. We got to go into North Conway, which is like a cute little mountain town. Did some, just looking around at the stores. There's a lot of like thrift shops and stuff that we went in.
Did you find any good gear? I mean, if you go to a ski town like that, you're looking for like, thrifting, a nice jacket or... Yeah,
I didn't find anything, but there was a lot of good things. I just didn't really need anything. So. But it was so cool to look around. And we got really good grilled cheese too. It was like a grilled cheese place.
That's what's gonna stick with you.
Yes,
like grilled cheese.
Oh my gosh, there was like bacon in it.
Oh,
it was good. But and then we also got prepared to climb Mount Washington. So we packed our bags. There was group gear that we all had to kind of split up and carry, and so we got ready, because then the next morning we woke up at like 5 and started to climb. So Mount Washington was a 3-day kind of climb. So the first day
how in the world do you wrap your mind around, I'm gonna do a 3-day hike essentially? I mean, I don't know, I'm not there yet, I guess.
I was terrified. Well, and like I'm a runner, so I was like, okay, I have the endurance, but like this is still really scary, because there's always, you're like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy what I'm doing. I've never done anything like this. But I think it helped that all of us, we were all doing it together. We've never, summited the mountains. So it helped. And our instructors were very like, if there's anything that goes wrong, like we always can turn around. Like there's a lot of risk management. And that's also what part of the class was assess like the risks. And because there was a possibility that, because we hiked up the first day to, it was called Hermit Lake Shelters, and we stayed in the shelters, and there's a possibility that we would hike up there, and the next day the avalanche forecast was high, or it was freezing rain or snowing a lot or way too windy, and we wouldn't even be able to go up. So there was also a lot of that, we didn't actually know if we were going to be able to summit or not. So,
and how tall is Mount Washington?
It is 6,000, I think 288 feet, if I remember correctly.
So over 6,000 feet, which is about double our highest elevation here in Garrett County.
I think so. I don't actually know.
Yeah, it's like 3,000 something.
Yeah, so then about double.
Yeah.
Which, if you're like thinking about out west and they have like the 14ers, like it's crazy. But Mount Washington, the special thing about it is it has some of the craziest weather on the earth. They had, up until a couple years ago, they had the highest wind speed ever recorded on top of Mount Washington, because there's a bunch of different like, I don't know, like all the terms were like all the winds basically converge right there.
Okay.
And so it's highest peak, and then there's just all these shorter mountains around it. So
help me with my geography.
Okay.
Where is New Hampshire in relation to Garrett County? So it's obviously north.
Yes.
East.
Yeah.
And then like where's Mount Washington? Is it on the coast or is it more inland?
No, it's more inland. So it's closer to like I always think of like Vermont, New Hampshire's like the like brother and sister.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like,
the V and the N, right?
Yes,
in the shape.
Yeah. So it's I think it's kind of in the middle of New Hampshire, but it's higher in New Hampshire. It's not like closer to like Massachusetts in that area. It's higher, but it is like away from the coast.
And elevation wise, is it the tallest in that region?
Mount Washington is the tallest peak in New Hampshire, and I think it's the tallest peak in New England. It is not the tallest peak on the East Coast. That's down in like North Carolina or somewhere. down there.
Okay.
But it's just really known for its like crazy weather because it's, this high peak and then the ocean.
Mhm.
It's not close, but it's closer than, most mountains
Yeah,
like
right.
that you would think like out west.
Mhm.
So it has this insane weather.
So what's going through your head when you sign up for this class and they say it's going to take us 3 days to summit this peak that is known for the craziest weather on the East Coast?
I was excited.
Yeah.
Well, because I've never like mountaineered before,
Mhm.
but I watch all these documentaries. My whole family is like very into hiking and stuff like that. So I've always like wanted to do something like this. My mom was like, "You're actually crazy,"
Yeah.
but
This is it. This is okay. We know now.
yeah.
Just willingly signing up for this.
But I was like, that'd be such a cool accomplishment after I got to do it. And I also was like, this is an opportunity I never know if I'll have again. Because, you don't just go and summit this kind of stuff unless you're highly trained, which I'm not, at
Right.
least at this point in my life. So I was like, why not take the opportunity when I have it? And I like ice climbing. I don't know if I would have ever ice climbed if I didn't go on this trip either, because it's not, kind of in my realm,
Mm-hmm.
at least where we live in Garrett County. So just like knowing that I had all these opportunities and I didn't know if I would ever get them again. So I was like, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
But so the first day we hiked, I think it was like 3 miles to the Hermit Lake shelter. And these shelters, they're not like, fancy. It's literally like a lean-to and there, there's not heating or anything in it. It's we were actually supposed to take our tents, and the guy who the shelter, like the keeper who stays up there, he saw us right before we were going and was like, "Oh, what are you guys here doing?" And we were like, "Oh, we're actually going up to Hermit Lake shelter." And he was like, "Oh, I'm the keeper," or I don't know what the word is, but like he stays up there, and he was like, "Our shelters are free if you guys don't want to use our tents," because we were originally going to tent camp up there on platforms, so we'd have to like dig in the snow, set everything up,
carry them
and carry them, which is a whole nother. Our packs were very heavy already.
Yeah.
So adding the tents, and so he was like, "Yeah, you guys can stay in the shelters. There's 2 shelters open." So we were like, "Thank goodness!" And we put the tents away and hiked up, and had our dinner. Went to bed at like 5 o'clock. It was the earliest I've been to bed since I was like 4 years old. But you go to bed when it's dark because you can't do anything else.
Did you have cell phone service at least?
There was like 1 bar.
Oh.
So it's like enough to like give my mom's like a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like I'm alive still.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's about it. There was more service than like some backcountry areas, I will say, which was nice. So we went to bed early and then got up fairly early, had a good breakfast, and then our packs were able to be lighter because we were able to like leave stuff at the shelter. So
Okay.
the only thing we had in there was basically our food and layers. So there was a ton of layers in that. Because another thing I never thought of was, when you're skiing, you're all bundled up. And that's what I'm used to doing in the winter is skiing, and especially at Wisp. You ski for 2 minutes and you ride the chairlift up for 15 minutes. So, you're always cold. But hiking, it was, I don't know, it was probably like 16 degrees. I was in basically a shirt like this. And that's it.
Really?
Because you were just, and you can't.
Working so hard.
Yeah, you're working hard. And if you sweat, you don't want to sweat because then you sweat and then you get cold and you stop and then you freeze. So we were just trying to avoid that. But when you stop, you have to put all your layers on so you're not freezing again because you just worked hard and gain all that body heat. So we had so many layers in our packs, and we just had to put them on when we were stopping, like to refuel or anything like that. So we started our hike, and unfortunately, we had to go down to go up because the trail. There's different trails on Mount Washington and like Tuckerman's Ravine, because basically. There's like Tuckerman's Ravine and Huntington's Ravine, and then Mount Washington. It's all in like the same area. And so, but there's a lot of different trails, but there's only really like 1 or 2 trails that you can hike in the winter, because the rest of the time, like in the summer, they're great, but in the winter, they're not doable. They're I don't really know why, but I just know there's like 1 or 2 trails you can hike in the winter. So we had to go back down 400 feet and then climbed straight up this mountain. And it was, yeah. And then we knew when we were going to get back that day after summiting and climbing all this, that the last 400 feet were going to be straight uphill back to our campers. So that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But so we started down, and then the trail was pretty chill for a while, and then we get to this part, and it's just, you look up at the trail is literally just straight up. And so we had to put on our crampons, put on our helmets, because then we had to rope in for a section because it was straight up and we had to ice climb, but we didn't have our technical tools, so we just used our ice axes. That's what we had with us. So we basically had to climb with our one axe, and I kind of had my other hand free, and I was just like grabbing on tree roots or whatever was available. Climbed up, and then we finally got to a section where we didn't need ropes, and we could just, it was really scary. That was probably one of the scariest parts, because you were like, okay, I'm not roped in, I'm literally just like hanging on to my ice axe, and I have
a sheet of ice.
Well, it was a little snowy, so that helped. It wasn't just straight ice, but it was so scary.
Yeah.
And then we reached just about above the tree line, and then it was like it flattened off a bit, and we reached.
Did you just like lay down and like snow angel it when you reach those trees? Like, all right.
Yeah. Well, it was because basically how we climbed when we were roped in, it was me and another girl on the trip, Iris, and we were both just kind of in like a makeshift like rope harness, basically a rope tied around our waist, and then one of our instructors was tied in above us, and so if we slipped and fell, he just had to like jam his axe in the ice and hope to hang on.
Yeah.
So it was a little sketchy, but we made it. So it's okay.
Yeah. You can tell the story now. But...
Yeah. But and there's actually there was some army men training as well up there for icy condition or like snowy conditions, and they had ropes all over the trail, so we had to like duck under the ropes, and they were like scattered all over the section that we were climbing, because they were also training, so then we also had to like weave in and out of them. So that's a little hard as well. But so we finally make it to where it's like flatter, and we take a break, and then they're like, okay, we need to put our coats on now, because as soon as we get over this like hump, the wind is just gonna blast you in the face. So we took
So what's going through your mind at this point when they tell you this?
I was so tired. Honestly, I was like, I just want to make it to the peak.
Okay.
And I was like, and I've watched videos and stuff on Mount Washington, so I knew I was expecting this. And actually, the conditions were really good for what we were doing. Even though the temperature, I think it was at the summit, I think it was only 0. So, which is a lot better than it normally is. Yeah. And the winds, I think it was only like 35 miles per hour, which sounds like a lot, but for Mount Washington, they can get up to 100 miles per hour. So it was,
so everything is relative, right?
Yeah.
0 degrees and 35 miles an hour is a balmy day on
It's a great day. Yeah. And normally the visibility isn't great, which when we got closer to the summit, the visibility, like, there was complete whiteout. But basically up until, I don't know, I'd say the last, 1,000 feet, maybe 800 feet, of elevation, you could see everybody, and you could see down the mountain. But yeah, so once we get over the hump, the tree line we were above the tree line at this point, and it was this beautiful view. You could see Tuckerman's Ravine. We could see skiers going down. It was gorgeous. We'll have to put a picture.
Yes.
And then we reached this place. It's called the Alpine Garden, and it's it's very rugged, and there's kind of like species that aren't really. It's very different than
sounds
a lot
like
of places.
Dolly Sods.
Yeah, it's kind of like Dolly Sods. Yeah, but like a little more Arctic. So
Arctic.
I felt like I was in Alaska or like the Arctic or somewhere. It was crazy. It was different than I've ever been. But so we start hiking up, and there was a trail, and then there wasn't. It was just basically just straight snow, and we were following. There's one instructor in the front, one instructor in the back, and eventually, we were just going up. It was just basically snow and ice, and we're just following in the tracks of the person in front of us. But
was there any exposure on the sides? Or
there was a little bit. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a couple spots where I was like, oh, if I blow off, it's a long way down.
Well, and I'm thinking of like the real Arctic
Yeah.
with, holes that you could fall into. Like
Yeah.
when things are snow covered,
Mhm.
it looks nice.
Yeah.
But you
There's-
just watch for the
Yeah.
hidden danger.
Well, the nice thing about where we were is, like, Arctic has glaciers and stuff, so
Mhm.
there wasn't any, like, glaciers up there at
Okay.
crevasses. So it
So-
was, like, solid ground
Yeah.
for the most. I mean, it was icy and snowy, but it was still, like, pretty solid
Yeah.
ground. So we didn't have to worry about that
Mhm.
kind of stuff as much, which was really nice. And then, so we just basically started going straight up this mountain, and this is when the visibility gets, like, kind of bad. And it was
So-
really foggy at the top, and the wind was blowing. Like, you would move your foot and your foot would, like, blow before you stepped down. And there was
Wow.
a point, so there was me and my friend Iris. We were the only 2 girls, and then there's 5 other boys, and all these guys were, like, really tall. And I'm 5'2". I think she's like 5'5". So for every one of their steps, it was like 3 of our steps.
Yeah.
So we took a little bit longer. So there was one point where me and her we were together. There was the rest of them were up. We couldn't see them. Our other instructor was behind us. We could see him. We were just following the tracks in the ice.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't see anything. The wind was blowing us. Oh my god, this is really scary.
Yeah.
But then eventually we see them, and they're like this. So the weird thing about Mount Washington is, in the summer, you could just drive up there. You could just drive up there, like, oh my god, I'm at the peak. In the winter, you have to climb.
Okay.
So there's a point where he was like, okay, this is the road that people drive on. Sheer ice, you can't even see it. It's just there's snow and ice everywhere. The wind's like blowing, but we were like, okay, we're so close to the peak. Like, we're gonna reach the peak. We're gonna summit. And then we summited, and it was so cool because you see the sign, and it says, Mount Washington, 6,288 feet. And you're like, oh my gosh, we did it. But the wind is like blowing. We're like hiding behind a shelter. Everything is just ice covered and snow covered. But it was really cool, like, feel like, oh my gosh, I did this.
Yeah.
But that was only half of it.
Great. There's no Starbucks at the top there.
No, there's no Starbucks on top. We did have, we all had Snickers bars. So we all had inner chocolate stickers that were frozen,
Yeah.
at the top. So that was cool. But then we had to descend. And I think that it was harder to climb up, but I think it was scarier to descend because, you're descending and you kind of see, everything.
All
We
the
just climbed
danger.
up. Yeah. And it also is like really hard on like your knees and your feet because it's clumping down the mountain.
Do you ever
basically.
turn around to descend?
We did. So the part that we were like roped in to go up, we did have to like down climb that, and we were roped in for that.
Okay.
And by that time, it was also dark, so we had our headlamps on, so you could only see, what the light was touching.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was a good or bad thing.
Well, you knew what it looked like.
Yeah.
And it starts growing in your mind, I'm sure. It's
But-
no way.
So we reached that. After walking down, and it was I think walking down was even prettier because when you're climbing up, the views behind you, so you'd have to look behind you, but going down you can see it all, and it opened up, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so pretty. And then we got to the spot where it was like a little sketchier going up, and we had to be roped in, and it was getting dark, but they were like, okay, and I'm doing my mind, I was like, once you get down this, like, we're not safe, but like we're a lot safer.
Safer.
So, and we down climb it. That's probably the scariest part because you're down climbing, it's dark, you're just shoving your crampons in like the ice.
Just jabbing it in and hoping
And
it sticks.
hoping it sticks, basically.
So how long did this was one day?
Yes,
right?
this was
So what time did you get started? And
I think we got started at like 8 or 9,
Okay.
and we got back I think around 6. So it was like a 10-hour day basically, and the whole time we were hiking for the most part, other than a couple like snack breaks. So it's very taxing on our bodies.
what was the first thing that you did when you did you get back to that shelter?
Yeah, we got back to, I laid down. I had all my stuff on still. And, you can't get the snow in the beds or in your sleeping bag. So, brushed up all the snow, took off my one jacket and just laid down because my feet hurt so bad. And, like, I had blisters all over me or all over my feet. And I was just like, oh, I finally get, I'm safe and warmish.
Warmish.
And then we cooked dinner and we had ramen, and we were all like looking for it. Basically, the whole climb down, we were like, oh my god, there's ramen at the bottom. There's ramen at the bottom.
Like the little square packs.
Yeah, we had them in like plastic bags. We put some peas in there, and we had like basically like these little chicken packets, and
Oh,
we just
okay.
started all together because it was all like freeze dried
Yeah.
meals. So
It's probably the best you've ever had.
it was really good. We boiled snow to get hot water to put in the ramen, and then it was very good. And then we went to bed, slept, even though we were on these little sleeping pads and like the on a hardwood floor. It was a good sleep.
Yeah.
And then the next day we basically packed up camp and then went the 3 miles back down to Pickerman Notch, the trailhead, and then went back to our hostel to stay one more night, and then came back here the next day. So it was quite the trip.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
So what was your takeaway? Like how do you describe this trip? Like, holy cow, like, that was amazing, or it could have been better, or
I
that
thought
did it?
it was. I was really glad I did it. Like the whole time I was there, I was like, "Thank goodness I signed up for this." Because even though I was like, "Oh my god, my whole body hurts," like I'm terrified, but it was definitely type 2 foot. You know,
Yes.
it was like you do it and you're like, "Oh my god, why the heck did I sign up for this? I'm dying." And then you get done, and you're like, "Oh, that was kind of fun." I would do that again.
Yes.
But it was scary. It was definitely the scariest thing I've ever done. Like summiting and ice climbing and stuff like that, because I've just never been exposed to that kind of stuff. And it was also the hardest thing I've ever done. So it was a really cool accomplishment. I get down and I'm like, I just saw about Washington. Like I just did all this stuff. Like it was really cool. And just this feeling of accomplishment, proud of myself for taking the opportunity, and just it was really cool, and I would do it again.
Yeah. So what do you say about the people that are like, I don't like the cold? I mean, in telling the story, the cold is just kind of a consequence. Like it is what it is. You dress for the conditions.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a side note, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say to people that are like, oh, that sounds cool, but I don't like the cold?
Well,
As we're sitting here looking at a frozen lake,
yeah.
It's gorgeous out there. What a great day.
Well, so I was kind of born and raised here. I skied since I was, a year old. So I've always been used to the cold, and I ski raced. So, I also was used to taking off all of my layers and literally just hucking myself down mountain and, skin tight, spandex suit. So I'm very used to the cold, as being outside for a long time. And I was expecting to be freezing the whole trip. I packed all of my base layers, all of my fleeces. And I was never cold, except for when we were climbing at Willie's Slide, because we had to wait a while for our instructor to go up and set the ropes. And we were probably waiting for, an hour and a half total while we were climbing. It probably took us, 10 minutes to climb the whole thing.
Really?
20. But it took us about 2 hours to actually do it because we were waiting. And that was the only time I was like, I wish I had more layers, but I'm freezing. The rest of the time, I honestly wasn't cold at all. So that's what I would say. Like, it's freezing, but you're moving so much that you're actually not really cold.
And think about the things that you got to see.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds so incredible. I want to look at the pictures, of course, again. Wow.
It was, I felt like I was in the Alps or like out west. Like I didn't even, I've seen pictures of Mount Washington, but I didn't realize, how vast it was. And, I didn't even realize places like this existed on the East Coast.
Yeah.
No, I'm used to, Green Mountains on the East Coast, Rocky Mountains, out west of the Rocky.
Right.
But just so seeing this and like, it's not close, but it's closer. It's like it made me feel really tiny too, like really small, looking out. And it was gorgeous too. And the funniest part was in the shelters, one of the best views is, where the bathroom was. But it was just these beautiful mountains, and then there's like the little bathroom. But it was
a room with a view.
Yeah. It was really cool, like just seeing it all.
So you said that you're not part of the OLA program.
Yes.
But you were able to take this class.
Yeah.
Can anyone take this class?
Yes.
Can I presumably do this next year?
So if you if you go to Garrett, they offer, so it's like they call it like a pathway. And so it's an Alpine climbing pathway. So even though I'm not in the OLA class, I'll graduate with like a Alpine climbing certification. So there's other classes I'll have to take. So in the spring, I'm going to take my Wolfer, which is wilderness first aid class over spring break. I took a wilderness survival skills in the fall, which we just kind of like learned how to, you know, survive in the wilderness. And then, you know, I think there's one other class I have to take also with like this class that I took over the winter, which was like intro to Alpine climbing. And then there's also a class that we'll take in the summer where we'll go out to Washington State and kind of do similar things out there. But it's intermediate Alpine climbing, and then I think there's another like a higher class as well that we'll take out there. So it's kind of like a pathway. But yeah, and basically anyone, if you go to Garrett College, you can do these classes even if you're not in the OLA program.
Yeah. What a great opportunity for college students. I went to Garrett too, and it was just some of the best times that I had. I mean, it was just, to your point, didn't really know what I was signing up for, but I was signing up for all these classes that were just kind of out of my typical realm. And it was just, I think, what college is supposed to be, you know, just exposure to different things that you just never experienced before.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was crazy. And the really cool part is they have a lot of funds and a lot of like scholarship money. So, you know, just the Alpine or the AIRE class, the AIRE certification class that we took was, I think, $650 total. And I think total that we had to pay out of pocket that wasn't like funded through the colleges, I think it was like $800. So it was definitely really, like, I don't think I ever would have had the funds to do this, or at least as a college student, for sure, have the funds to, you know, do this kind of trip. And especially with, I don't own crampons or mountaineering boots, or even like there's, you know, these really big jackets we had to wear that, you know, protected us from the cold. Even though I'm a skier, I don't own that big of a jacket or that warm of a jacket. So being able, you know, and Garrett College has all of these things that they've just been using over and over that they just rent out to students. So that was really nice that we could you know, borrow that stuff.
Yeah, to that point, Garrett College actually has a entire library of rental equipment. So winter they have cross country skis, I believe.
I believe
snowshoes.
So.
And I know they have a couple mountain bikes and helmets, and gosh, it's just a underutilized resource. I think
really
it's the public can rent from that library, I do believe. And I'll circle back with Andy Hershey and make sure that what we're saying is correct. But I'm pretty sure I rented snowshoes a couple years back. I was just like, I don't own snowshoes. I don't know if this is something that I want to get into. So yeah, having that available at low or no cost is awesome.
Yes, it was definitely really nice because, like I said, you know, it would have been thousands of dollars that I would have spent, you know, renting or buying all this stuff, even just the equipment, not even like the experience, just the equipment in general. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we got to just borrow or rent for very cheap. So that was really nice perk, and that's another reason why, you know, I took this opportunity.
Yeah. So has this influenced your career pathway at all? Is it too early to say? I don't want to commit you to anything, but you said you were elementary education. So do you think it'll impact that direction, or do you think it'll just add to?
So I don't really know exactly. So I'm on the track of elementary education. I love teaching. I'm a ski instructor at WISP, and I love teaching children. It's been a passion of mine for a while. And my mom's an elementary education teacher at Accident. So she's an elementary teacher at Accident. So I kind of see that side. And then my dad is a ski school director at WISP. So I also see, you know, that adventure sports side. And so I was like, this would be so cool if I could like combine them. So I don't exactly know what I want to do. I know eventually I want to work in the school system probably. But, you know, there's also opportunity for like working at a Montessori school or like kind of, you know, just like outdoor education in general for younger kids. You know, there's so many opportunities out there now. So it definitely like it opened more doorways, and, you know, seeing actually like one of the instructor for my AIRE course, she was a middle school art teacher for 10 years, and then she became a guide for AIRE and a guide at Tuckerman for taking people up Mount Washington and backcountry skiing with them. So I'm like, there's always an opportunity, you know, to switch. But right now I'm still like looking at being an elementary teacher, but then also, you know, doing this kind of stuff on the side as well. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
Is there anything else that we didn't chat about that you wanted to share? Or?
I don't think so.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk this morning. This was awesome to hear about your experience. Like I said, I want to go through the photos with you too, and we'll share some on here. What I saw so far was just like, holy mackerel, this is awesome. And to your point, type 2 fun. I think, you know, Ashlynn and I know each other from the mountain bike team here locally. And I would say mountain biking is type 2 fun. You know, all of these things, you have to kind of go outside of your comfort zone and, you know, maybe question yourself a little bit during the process. But overall, you get to experience things that others don't get to see. And just learn more about yourself through a little bit of trial and a little bit of discomfort. So, but yeah, what a great interview. Thank you, Ashlynn, for sitting with us this morning. This is awesome.
Thank you. This was fun.
Awesome. Well, and we'll put you on the calendar for an interview after your intermediate alpine climbing.
Yes.
I'm excited. Well, thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.